Good morning, everyone. Myself Kapil Rawani, TGT Social Science, St. Durgapur, Pasim Bardhaman, West Bengal, Patna region. Dear students, today we are going to start a chapter of Class 8 History book, and the name of the chapter is Civilizing the Natives, Educating the Nation. Dear students, this is one of the important chapters of the Class 8 History book, and also it is very interesting chapter. So we are going to start and listen carefully what we are going to study. Okay? Yes. The students, as you know, you have studied from the beginning of this book, history book. Britishers came India. Britishers started to interfere in the area of our kings. First they came India to do trade. In our chapter 3, we studied chapter 2, studied from trade to territory, means they changed their profession to do business to rule. Means they interfered in the life of our kings of various parts of our country. Then they started to interfere in the fields of the people of the village areas, countryside. Then the chapter was the ruling the countryside. Then they were in the areas of our tribal people, means forest. Before this chapter, we have studied about the iron smelter, weaver, and means they also interfere in the field, in the life of our weavers, our textile workers, textile industrialists, industries, as well as they also interfere in the life of the iron smelter, means iron workers, iron smiths. Means we can say that I want to say that the British people, after arriving India, they started to interfere in the all sections of our life, from king, from rich to poor, from king to subjects, all type of peoples. So the students, in this section, in this chapter, we will discuss about the interference of the Britishers in our education system. Means before and after the arrival of Britishers, what was the system of education in India and how they changed our education system. But dear students, as you know, this is a lengthy chapter, this is a big chapter. So to study in very clear manner, I have divided this chapter into two parts. First of all, now we are going to study first part, and what will get in first part we will get especially three parts in this section. Is today's class. This class we will get three parts. First part, Orientalism. Second part, grave errors of the East, and third part, wood dispatch. In first part, we will discuss what is the meaning of Orientalism. In second part, now we will see the other type of British people, what was their thinking, and the third part, how they deduced their education system in India. So, dear students, it will be very interesting. So, listen carefully and try to understand what I am going to teach you. Okay? Yes. Listen carefully, students. Here, I am going to start the point, the tradition of Orientalism. Orientalism is a word. Is a word that is Orientalism. What is the meaning of Orient? Orient means we can say ancient or Asian. And ancient. It is a story of a people named William Jones. First of all, we will understand, we will learn about William Jones, who was he, what was his role, all the things. So first of all, try to understand who was William Jones and what was his importance. Why we are studying about William Jones. Okay, listen carefully. In 1783, a person named William Jones arrived in Calcutta he had an appointment as a junior judge at Supreme Court that the company had set up. You know, in previous classes we have studied about the Regulating Act. In 1773, British government introduced India Regulating Act to regulate the state company and established also Supreme Court in Calcutta. In that very Supreme Court, William Jones came to join as a junior judge in that Supreme Court in Calcutta. Means he is a judge, he is a scholar of knowledge. In addition to being an expert of law, he is a judge, he was a judge, so naturally he was an expert of law. Jones was a linguist. He had studied so many languages. John was not an expert of law. He was also an linguist. He was also a linguist. Means he has knowledge of so many languages, and he was also interested to learn various type of languages, new languages he wants to learn. Okay. At Calcutta, he began spending many hours a day with pandits who taught him the subtleties of Sanskrit language, grammar and poetry. Since he was a linguist, he was interested to learn various type of languages. So after coming in India, again he started to learn Indian language like Persian and Sanskrit. Okay. Soon he was studying ancient Indian texts and law, philosophy, religion, politics, morality, arithmetic, medicine and other science. After learning Sanskrit, after learning Persian, he started to read Indian ancient books, Indian ancient literatures, Indian ancient books for various subjects like philosophy, like religion, like politics, like morality, arithmetic. All the subjects of the books were being studied by William Jones. Now, when they studied Indian books, he discovered something. John discovered that his interests were shared by many British officials living in Calcutta at the time. John thought that when he studied Indian text, he was very interested. He got the things very positive in Indian textbooks, Indian books. So he wanted to share his own experience to other people of that time, of the British people of that time living in Calcutta. Englishmen like Henry Thomas Colebrook and Nathaniel Hallhead were also busy discovering the ancient Indian heritage, mastering Indian languages and translating Sanskrit and Persian works in England. Not only William Jones was interested to learn Indian text, Indian knowledge, Indian ancient culture, but there are so many other people, English people like Nathaniel Hallhead and like Thomas Colebrook were also interested to learn the Indian text, Indian language, and they also understanding and translating Sanskrit books into English, Persian books into English. Means not only James Mill, other people also interested in that phase, in that area. They were also interested to learn about the Indian culture, Indian text. Okay. Now, listen. This is the next part of that topic only. Okay. Jones and Colebrook came to represent a particular attitude towards India. William Jones and Colebrook developed a particular attitudes, developed a positive attitudes towards the culture of India, towards the literature of India, towards the education system of India. They shared a deep respect of ancient culture, both for India and for West. Since they were Western, so they had the respect for their Western culture as well as they studied Indian culture. So they developed respect for Indian culture also. Okay, in a civilization, they felt that attained its glory in ancient past, but have subsequently declined. Understood? William Jones and Colebrook understood that Indian culture, Indian civilization had very glorious past, but due to various reasons, it declined. In order to understand India, it was necessary to discover the sacred and legal texts that were produced in that ancient period. These peoples thought, they delivered the speeches, they wrote the things, and they try to understand the people, they try to make understand the people that if we want to learn about the India, we have to learn about the Indian text, Indian legal, Indian ancient mythological text, that is the true picture of Indian culture and civilization as they were told. For only those texts could reveal the real ideas and laws of Hindus and Muslims, and only the new study of these texts could form the basis of future development in India. Means they said that if we want to develop India, then we have to follow India's ancient culture, India's ancient text, India's ancient civilization in system. That is the true picture of India. So we have to develop India on the basis of Indian ancient culture, as they thought. Now, such type of ideas, they were influenced by such type of ideas, so they wanted to introduce, they wanted to spread their ideas. To spread their ideas, they started something. Influenced by such ideas, many company officials argued that the British ought to promote Indian rather than Western learning. So many British people, so many British officers argued that if we started India, if we want to develop India, then we have to promote Indian education system, not Western education system. So these people were known as Orientalists. Okay, they felt that institutions should be set up to encourage the study of ancient Indian texts and teach Sanskrit and Persian literature and poetry. They argued that if we want to develop, if we want to establish, if we want to start education system in India, we must start ancient system of India to the new people, new generation. The officials also thought Hindus and Muslims ought to be taught what they were already familiar with and what they valued and treasured, not subjects that were alien to them. Hence, these people thought that if we study, if we want to teach Indian people, then we have to introduce Indian ancient culture, Indian Hindu people, Muslim people, what they studied, what they have to study, means what they have, which was familiar to them, only they have to, that is studied by them. Subjects that were not alien, only then they believed could be British hope to win a place in the heart of natives. Only then could the alien rulers expect to be respected in their subjects. If Britishers introduced Indian system to the people, Indian people, ancient system to the modern people, then only such type of rulers, alien rulers, expect to be respected. Then they will they will get respect only then if they started ancient system of education to the people of India. Okay, these are some photos. Nothing new here. Orientalism means what? Orient means what? Orient means Asia, Eastern, or we can say ancient. Okay, the people. Orientalism means the thought. If there is a thought, in that thought, people thinking that ancient culture, ancient text, ancient literature is also good, also rich, very rich in respect of the Britishers, in respect of the Western, then this thought, this thinking style, this thinking is known as Orientalism. With this object in view, a madrasa was set up in Calcutta in 1781. A madrasa was set up for Muslims and Hindu college was set up for Hindus to promote ancient culture, to promote Orientalism. Okay? To encourage the study of ancient Sanskrit texts that would be useful for the administration of the country. So, in this way, in this part, what we have studied, some people like William Jones, like Holbrook, like Nathaniel Hallhead, they had their own views about the Indian culture, Indian system, Indian education, and they thought that if they want to introduce India education system, then it must be based on Indian ancient culture. It must be based on Indian culture. But not all the Britishers have the same thought, same thinking style. There were so many other people who have other type of mindset. Listen and see in our next slide what is going to be happen. nation. Here also a people, his name was James Mill. What he said? Grave errors to the East. Means East. The culture of East. The education system of East. The civilization of East is just like grave. Grave errors. That means there are so many problems, so many mistakes in the system of education in India in ancient time, as it is thinking of these people. So many other people also. But here we are going to study about the James Mill. Listen carefully what James Mill has told. From the early 19th century, many British officials began to criticize the Orientalist vision of learning. So many British officials, as I have told you, not all the people were Orientalist. Some people have good vision about the ancient culture, but not all the people have the good vision about the ancient culture. Some people have different vision, okay, and criticize the Orientalist vision of learning. They said that such type of people like James Mill, said that knowledge of East was full of errors and unscientific thoughts. They said that knowledge of Eastern country was very full of errors and unscientific, not on the basis of science. Eastern literature was non-serious. They said that literature of this area, literature of this side, they are non-serious and light-hearted. So they argued that it was wrong on the part of British to spend so much effort in encouraging the study of Arabic and Sanskrit language and literature. So James Mill criticized Orientalist, and he told that when ancient or the Eastern culture, Eastern language, Eastern literature was so light-hearted, so unscientific, so why the British people spend so much huge amount on this unscientific thing? So it must be stopped or it must be changed. James Mill was one of those who attacked the Orientalists. James Mill was one of those. So many people were there who has the thinking style varied from the Orientalists. James Mill was also one of them. James Mill also attacked the Oriental. The British authority declared should not be teach what the natives wanted or what they expected. The aim of education was to be teach what was useful. James Mill, the thinking of James Mill was also good, as he also he declared that education should not be teach. People should not be teach what the native wanted. As the native wanted, it will not be taught. While the aim of education ought to be the teach what was useful, practical, the practical usage. Thus, the use of education must be practical as it told. By the 1830s, the attack on the Orientalist became sharper. So many other peoples, till by the 1830s, so many other peoples also attacked Orientalist. Means they attacked on the thought of the Orientalist. That they argued that they criticized the thought of Orientalist, that there was not to promote ancient culture, not to promote ancient education, only promote that must be in practical use, and that must be came from England or western part. One of the most outspoken and influential of such critics of the time was Thomas Remington Macaulay. Macaulay was also a critic just like James Mill. Okay, he has also his own thinking. He saw India as a civilized country that needed to be civilized. Macaulay saw India as an uncivilized country, and they thought that it must be civilized. The people of India were civilized. He argued that the British government in India stopped wasting public money in promoting Oriental learning, for it was no practical use. His thinking was also just like James Mill. He also argued that British government stopped wasting public money on the spreading of the Oriental learning, promoting the promoting the Oriental learning. So it was no practical use, as Thomas Remington Macaulay said that Oriental learnings have no practical use, so it must be stopped. Okay. This is the picture is of Thomas Walter Macaulay. Listen carefully what he said more. He felt that knowledge of English would allow Indians to read some of the finest literature the world had produced. He said that the knowledge of English, if the people of India learn English, he will be able to learn so many English novels which was very serious, which has very deep influence. It would make them aware of the developments in Western science and philosophy. When Indian people learn English, they will study the Western science book, Western literature book, and they will study Western philosophy. They will understand what type of developments have done in the other parts of the world. Teaching of English would thus be a way of civilizing people, changing their taste, values, and culture. Means this type of people wanted to introduce English as the medium of instruction, as a language. After introducing English, if the people of India will learn English, they will understand what type of people, what type of culture is being used in Western part. So he will be civilized and changing their values, changing their taste and culture. Following Macaulay's merits, Macaulay had produced very recommendation, rules, regulations, so many rules, regulations, and on the basis of such rules, regulations, British government enacted an educational policy, that is English Education Act of 1835 was introduced. The decision was to make English the medium of instruction for higher education. What decision taken in the Act of 1835? Medium of instruction in higher education. Okay, higher education, medium of education must be English. By learning English, the Indian people change their own taste. Okay. Now, next point. Our next point is also related to English education system, that is education for commerce. Some people like Charles Wood, they have their other vision. To teach or to civilize, to promote the education in India. He also emphasized on the practical use of education for commerce. Listen carefully what is written here. In 1854, Director General of East India Company sent India some rules and regulations for improvement of education system in India, especially focused on the education system beneficial for British trade and commerce. This is known as Wood Dispatch. The students, British government, after some time, 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, they introduced different type of rules and regulations to rule India from England. So in this respect, in this order, he also introduced in 1854 some rules regulations about the education system of India. That rules regulations is known as Wood Dispatch. Okay, listen carefully. For improvement of education system in India, especially focused on education system beneficial of British. Means they wanted to introduce education, such type of education system which will be the beneficial for English trade, English commerce, for English ruling system. Okay, British trade and commerce. Or these whole rules regulations, the bundle of rules and regulations, we can say the whole rules and regulations minutes is known as the Wood Dispatch. Now, what was Wood Dispatch? One of the practical use of Wood Dispatch pointed was economic. This Wood Dispatch education system introduced in India by Britishers was based on the economy. Introducing them to European way of life. If English education will be introduced in India, people will learn English, people will learn English literature, people learn English philosophy. Means people will be converted into English culture. They will be English cultured. Means they will change their life to European way of life. Would change their taste and desire and create demand for British goods. If they have changed their own taste, change their desire, then they will want what? English things, English goods, English culture, English dress, English shoes, English dress, English food, they will change. And in this way, such type of education will be benefited for the trade of Britishers. Okay. For India would begin appreciating the and buy things that were produced in Europe. Would dispatch also argued that European learning would improve the moral character of Indian. It would make them truthful, honest, and thus supply the company with civil servants who could be trusted and dependent upon. Would dispatch also argued that, also introduced that if the Indian people will learn English, he will be we can say he will be very truthful and honest for the British governments, and they will understand that Britishers are better than us, and they will be very truthful for the company, and they will become civil servants and dependent upon the British governments. Following 1954, despite some of the measures were introduced by the British, in the education departments of governments were set up on the basis of dispatch. So many education departments were set up in India. Control of government regarding education, steps were taken to establish system of university, and so many universities were also establishing on the basis of Wood's dispatch. Okay. So dear students, as I have told in the beginning of the chapter, we will discuss only 3 points especially. First point was about the Orientalism. Second point about the James Mill, and third point about the dispatch. Okay. So there are recapitulation with the revision time. First point question: what is Orientalism? What is Orientalism? We have discussed. Next point: role of William Jones, Thomas Holbrook, Nathaniel Hallett, and field of Orientalism. What they have done, what they have did about in the field of education. Then James Mills, the thinking of James Mills that eastern part of the world is the grey areas of education. They have very light-hearted literature. They have scientific thoughts. So many things. Then we discussed about the thought of Thomas Wellington Macaulay, and finally we discussed about the Wood dispatch. Wood dispatch was a system of education, some rules and regulations about the education to introduce in India, and on the basis of this education they introduced so many universities in India. So in this way our chapter is finished. There are some homework, so you write down this and try to solve it. Just wait. Okay, very good. In this way we have finished chapter, and very soon our next part is coming. So I think this chapter you will understand very well. And next part we will discuss something more about the same chapter, civilizing the nating education law, educating the nations. Thank you very much.